Okay, so I want to start by telling a little story. Okay, so last August 29th to be exact, I was playing up at Spring Hill in Aurora, and just your casual Sunday round, whatever. I got paired with these two really nice guys, and hole 14, it's par 3. I go up first, okay, like sizing up the hole, and shoot, I got kicked off. Whatever. Anyways, and it was about 125 yards, and the pin was in the front, so I knew that I wanted to like lay up a little bit, that way I could have an uphill putt. And so I remember I go up, I hit my shot, and it landed like 10 yards in front of the pin. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'll just have my uphill putt. But it didn't stop. It kept rolling. And so now I'm thinking, oh crap, like it's going to go past the hole. I'm going to have to putt downhill. But then thankfully, all of a sudden, it just dropped into the cup. And it took me a second to realize like I had gotten a hole in one. And so then I started screaming, and then the guys next to me started screaming, and they were like shouting, literally shouting at the next tee box over, like, she got a hole in one, she got a hole in one. And then they wanted me to go like down to the pro shop and everything and put my name like on the little list so that everybody knew. Like I genuinely think these guys are more excited than I was. But it's one of my favorite memories because it's a really good reminder for me when I'm saying like, oh, I hate golf or I want to quit. It reminds me of all the good shots. Not just specifically the hole-in-ones, but the good putts, the good chips, whatever it is. And I think that that's like the beauty of golf is that you see all that hard work pay off. And that's one reason why I really like it. That's kind of where I want to begin. I want to share how this experience has helped me discover the thing that I love. Capstone has led me to understanding myself and why I love golf so much. There's been doubts, uncertainties, and a lot of unknowns throughout the year. And there were times when I asked myself, what the heck am I doing? And is golf really even that important? But something was really intriguing about it, and I found myself loving it more and more as the year went on. I think it actually helped strengthen my faith and grow my walk with Christ. The verse that I picked for this year was Ecclesiastes 9:10, and it says, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. The things that God has led me to this year has brought me a clear understanding of how he's wired me to impact the kingdom. I want others to experience the same thing in their lives, because I think the things that the things that we love are the true display of God's work and beauty, how he's carefully crafted and designed each one of us to use what we're most passionate about to impact others. The things that we love are, I believe, are ultimately what make us who we are. This year and its experiences have been extremely challenging. Having only been playing golf for about 8 months at the time that we started this capstone journey, it felt crazy to dedicate the year to something that I knew nothing about and didn't even know if I loved it yet. Quitting soccer junior year to pursue golf meant leaving my teammates, my coaches, and that community that I knew and loved to enter into something that I knew nothing about, with the possibility of it being a complete waste of my time and then having to start all over with capstone. The most surprising thing I think that I learned this year is that while I really value relationships and having a good relationship with my coaches and my teammates, like I started at the beginning of the year with, I discovered it just wasn't the focus for me when I started this capstone project and playing golf in general. Although I believe it's something that plays a huge role in sports and community connections I really value, there's so much more to the game that doesn't relate to other people, not just in golf but in any other sport. I started to realize this when I was interviewing Coach Stidham. I originally interviewed him because I wanted to know why he coaches, what's important to him about coaching, and if he thinks that coaches really influence how hard a player is going to work. Because ultimately, if you don't like your coach, you're not going to want to learn from them. From personal experience, I've had a lot of coaches who I didn't like, and it's like it goes in one ear and then out the other. And then I've also had coaches who I really loved, and they were super encouraging and made me feel really confident, and it made a huge difference in how I played and how calm and relaxed I was. With Coach Stidham, we talked about how the process of coaching helps develop skill and build character. We talked about relationships with his players and how it affects the game and the team atmosphere, how important coaches' connections with their players are, but more importantly for the players' connections to be just as strongly developed with one another. Because without relationships in a team, the trust between one another is missing, and you eliminate all the hard work and replace it with the desire to work more for yourself, and you just end up with a bunch of really selfish players. We looked at how relationships build character and perseverance, as well as godly virtues. All the virtues that we practice in sports then translate over to our lives and how we can better think about things like work and serving others. Although I learned a lot when I interviewed him and ended up actually changing my perspective on how I view relationships, not only in golf, but in my personal life as well, I realized it just wasn't what I wanted, and I didn't want to focus on this for the rest of the year or in my future with golf. First semester really solidified the deep love that I have for golf, but more importantly, opened my eyes to what I don't love about it. The second thing that I learned from Capstone was that actually coaching and teaching, going and doing those things, wasn't as appealing as I thought it was going to be in the beginning. At the beginning of the year, I thought that I wanted to pursue that, so I decided to lead a J term with Coach O. And I'm super grateful that I got to do this. It was a super fun experience. I got the opportunity to actually do those things and teach everybody, and it was really challenging because I had so much skill to work with. I had like lefties who I can't really help them with anything, and then I also had people who never even picked up a golf club before, which was really cool. So it was like starting at square one and then moving forward with it. But we begin each session or like class, I don't know what it's called, going over the technicalities of a specific skill set, whether it was chipping, putting, irons, driving, whatever it was, and then we'd go to the range and actually practice those things. And even in like a really short amount of time, I could see a lot of growth. So I recorded some people's swings at the beginning of the week and then again at the end to show the progress. Basically, what was going on here is in her backswing, she kind of stops at the top. So the position of the club is it's going to keep the face open. So then at that point of impact, it's going to go right. You can see it. And then in like her follow through, all the weight is going to be on the back foot. So at the end of the week, can't probably see it, but that's okay. She had more of like a hinge at the top. So it puts the club in a better position, so then when it comes back through, it's going to be closed, causing it to go left. And then in her follow-through, the weight's on the front foot. And I liked that it actually went super far left, because then if you overcorrect it, I always think that's better than not doing enough, because then you can just take like a tiny bit off. And then Johnny's at... Okay, this was Johnny's. If you can tell. He definitely plays baseball. So he has like a good setup and everything, his hands are in the right spot. And then when he takes it away, he has the hinge, but he took a step because he's swinging it like a baseball bat. And then when it comes through, it's going to hit on the heel, which actually worked out fine because it still went straight, but like the positioning was off. So then at the end of the week, like that, and basically, he has a good takeaway. He doesn't take a full backswing, but that's okay, because then when he comes through, the club face is going to be closed, and it's going to go left, just like Grace's, which is actually like totally okay, because I, again, think that if you overcorrect something, then it's a lot easier to just take a little bit away. But at the end of the week, again, I realized this wasn't what I wanted. I really lacked patience, and I struggled to lead in a way that I felt like a coach should. I had a hard time explaining specifically what each person needed to do in a way that was going to be clear and understandable for them. I was honestly really happy when the week was over, because I wasn't having to be stressed about weather or what I was going to say or what I was going to teach them or whatever, because I didn't like being a coach. I did benefit from this experience, though, being able to, one, say, okay, this thing that I thought I loved, I don't actually love it anymore. And two, I think that being able to teach others helped grow my knowledge, because I realized I knew way more than I thought I did. Ultimately, though, with a whole semester ahead of me, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Thankfully, second semester, I started to find what it is that I do love, specifically what I love about golf. It started for me when I began to read How to Master Golf's Mental Game by Dr. Michael T. Lardon for our book report. Dr. Lardon is a sports psychiatrist who specializes with all type of athletes, equipping them with strategies to perfect their mentality during competition. Reading his book, I was really intrigued by the strategies he presented, and it really resonated with me because I cannot be calm when I'm playing, and I'm always in my head all the time. So I wanted to take as much of his strategies as I possibly could and see how much better I could get just by changing my mindset, nothing else, nothing technical, nothing mechanical. So I worked on this with my swing coach, Jason, who I actually ended up interviewing to gain a better understanding of how to become mentally stronger and perfect the mentality needed to compete under pressure and at a higher level. From my conversation with him, I learned the importance of attitude and positivity during a round. Essentially, the ability to channel emotion is going to play a huge part in how you play and like the outcome of your score. Just like Dr. Lardon had said, Jason brought up a few different strategies to either set up before a shot or to use to recover if the shot didn't go the way that you wanted to. The more that I talked with Jason, it was apparent to me that this is what I love about golf. Golf is 90% mental, which gives me the ability to change my game for the better. I love brainstorming strategies and ideas for both mental and physical challenges and then working on them for sometimes even hours. Anything technical in golf is what I'm drawn to. One of my favorite things about working with Jason is, I don't have to think, but I we go to like this indoor simulator with him all the time, and that's where we specifically work. And if you can see from my tiny iPad, if you don't know, that's what simulator looks like. It's just like an indoor driving range, and then you can either play actual courses or just like target practice. And so this one is a picture of, hard to see, it's like the statistics that are kind of come up after you hit a shot. So this is from a different simulator that I go to with my dad, but the one with Jason is essentially the same. I think it just has a couple more things, like a lot more club face statistics and data. And then he also, on his, it will record your swing either from whatever angle you want, really, and then he can go back through and like draw on it and mark it up for me, which gives me a better visual because that's how I'm going to learn. Another thing that he has that I really like is he'll put 2 videos side by side. So every time when I go in to see him, he records my swing, and then when he puts 2 videos side by side, it'll either be my previous video so I can see the progress compared to how I'm doing today, or he'll compare it next to like a pro, and then again he can draw on it, mark it up, whatever he wants to do, and then I can see what they're doing versus what I'm doing and how I can fix it. Another thing that I really love about golf is, I just understand, I can talk about this all day, but like the mechanics of it I think are really interesting, is that like your hands can be 1 inch different in like your grip or 1 inch different in your backswing, and it's going to have like a huge effect on the outcome. I mean, like some pros, if you watch golf, have like really weird swings, but it still works for them, which is really interesting to me that there's so many different ways you can swing a golf club correctly, I guess. Another thing that I love is the mental side of golf. I mean, like I said in the beginning, it's 90% mental, so you have the ability to change so much of the game. If you go up and your shot's over water, and you say, I'm going to hit it into the water, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit it into the water. And so if you convince yourself that you're not going to hit it in there, most likely you won't. So one thing that I've been practicing is I've been pretending that all my clubs are my pitching wedge. So my pitching wedge is my favorite club, and I can just hit it really confidently. And I hate my 6-iron, so every time I pick up my 6-iron, I'm really tense, and I'm like, I don't want to hit this. But if I pretend it's my pitching wedge, then I'm most of the time hit it a lot smoother. Something that I also love is just how insanely smart Jason is. He has such an eye for golf. He's really talented at what he does. He can take one look at my swing, and he knows exactly where the ball is going to go. I mean, like, my hands aren't even past here, and he's like, oh, it's going to go left, or oh, it's going to go right, and 9 times out of 10, he's spot on. So working with Jason over the past couple months, I've not only grown tremendously, but started to understand what it is exactly that I do love about golf. I'm still unsure of what it is that I want to do in the future or where I want to go with this, but I do know that my love for golf is something that God has placed in my life for a reason, even though it's unknown as to where I'm going to go with it. My biggest wish for Capstone this year is that others feel the same and know that God has placed a talent in them for a reason. I have to use my love for golf to impact the kingdom and play for His glory rather than the status or the score. The interviews and experiences up to this point have helped me better understand why I love it so much. Golf is the first thing that no one's pushed me or forced me to do. Instead, it's something that I discovered and practiced all on my own. I've done soccer, basketball, volleyball, dance, and gymnastics, but nothing's fulfilled me the way that golf has, and that's like something I can't even explain. Like, I can't put it into words, the fact that like a year ago I had my first tournament ever, and now a year later I'm standing here and I'm going to continue to play golf, and I'm talking about golf in my capstone. Like, I just think that's so weird. And I used to make fun of my dad for watching golf on the weekends, and then this weekend that's what I was doing. It's just really interesting. But I'm super grateful for this year and being able to do things like have Capstone, since a lot of other schools don't have that. Having these experiences and interviews, I'm super grateful for them, because without them, I don't think I would have found exactly what it is that I love about golf.